The music world has been haunted for decades by a tragic pattern: plane crashes cutting short the lives of artists far too young. Today, we're looking back at 10 devastating aviation disasters that not only ended legendary careers, but also changed the course of music history. Number 1. Buddy Holly.
Well, that'll be the day when you say goodbye.
This is the one they call the day the music died. Buddy Holly was a rising star in the rock and roll scene of the 1950s. On February 3, 1959, a small Beechcraft Bonanza plane crashed just minutes after takeoff in Iowa.
We interrupt this program for a special news bulletin. 3 young singers who soared to the heights of show business on the current rock and roll craze were killed today in the crash of a light plane in an Iowa snow flurry. The singers were identified as Ritchie Valens, 17, Buddy Holly, 22, and J.P. Richardson, known professionally as the Big Bopper.
It was carrying rock and roll pioneers Buddy Holly, Ritchie Valens, and J.P. the Big Bopper Richardson, all of whom died instantly. The crash was due to poor weather and pilot error. The pilot decided to take off in inclement weather, despite not being certified to fly by instruments only. This devastating event was immortalized in Don McLean's song American Pie.
But something touched me deep inside the day the music died.
And it marked a chilling moment when the world saw how fragile rising stardom could be. Buddy Holly was just 22 years old. Number 2. Otis Redding.
She may be weary.
Otis Redding was soul music royalty, a powerhouse vocalist behind classics like Try a Little Tenderness and Respect. At just 26, he had already bridged soul, R&B, and rock with a voice full of fire and heartbreak. On December 10, 1967, while traveling to a concert in Wisconsin, Redding's plane plunged into the icy waters of Lake Monona. 7 others died, including members of his backing band, the Bar-Kays. The only survivor was the trumpet player, who clung to debris for hours in freezing temperatures. Just days earlier, Redding had recorded Sittin' on the Dock of the Bay,
Sitting in the morning sun.
which would go on to be his first posthumous #1 hit and one of soul's most iconic songs. Number 3. Jim Croce.
Well, south side of Chicago is the baddest part of town.
Jim Croce was a folk rock singer-songwriter. Known for storytelling ballads like Operator, Bad Bad Leroy Brown, and Time in a Bottle.
I could save time in a bottle. The first thing that I...
His warm voice and relatable lyrics made him a rising star of the early 70s. On September 20th, 1973, after playing a show in Louisiana, Croce's chartered plane crashed into a tree shortly after takeoff. Everyone on board, including his guitarist Maury Muehleisen, died instantly. The crash was blamed on the pilot's health and poor visibility. Croce was just 30. His career had only just taken off, and Time in a Bottle would become a haunting #1 hit after his death. Number 4. Lynyrd Skynyrd. Lynyrd Skynyrd were Southern rock legends, known for Sweet Home Alabama and the 10-minute epic Freebird. Their mix of blues, country, and hard rock defined a genre and a generation.
It is shortly before 6 o'clock Central Daylight Time. The pilot, Walter McCreary of Dallas, Texas, radios Houston Air Traffic Control. He's low on fuel and can't make Baton Rouge, 80 miles away. Instead, he'll try for a small airport at nearby Macomb, Mississippi.
We found out 10 minutes from the Baton Rouge airport that we ran out of gas, and I just heard the pilot go, "Oh my God."
On October 20th, 1977, the band's plane ran out of fuel and crash-landed in Mississippi en route to Baton Rouge. The crash killed lead singer Ronnie Van Zant, guitarist Steve Gaines, backing vocalist Cassie Gaines, and 3 others. Survivors suffered serious injuries, and the group disbanded shortly afterward.
If I leave here tomorrow.
The tragedy came just days after the release of their album, Street Survivors, whose eerie cover depicted them engulfed in flames. Skinnerd would reunite years later, but the crash marked a devastating turning point. Number 5. Randy Rhoads. Randy Rhoads was a classically trained guitarist who revolutionized heavy metal with Ozzy Osbourne in the early 80s. His shredding, melodic solos helped shape songs like Crazy Train. On March 19, 1982, during a tour stop in Florida, Rhoads boarded a small plane that was piloted by the tour bus driver for what was supposed to be a joyride.
The tour bus driver, Andrew Aycock, was also a pilot who convinced Randy and the group's makeup artist, Rachel Youngblood, to take a quick flight on a small Beechcraft.
He thought it would be funny to repeatedly buzz Ozzy's tour bus. You know, freak everybody out.
While some members of the Ozzy Osbourne band slept in their tour bus parked next to the house, the other 3 buzzed overhead, circling the bus 3 times. On the 4th time, they didn't make it.
The pilot began flying dangerously low and clipped the band's tour bus before crashing into a nearby house. Rhoads, the pilot, and a makeup artist were killed instantly. He was only 25. His influence continues to resonate with guitarists today, a genius lost at the height of his creative power. Number 6. Reba McEntire's band. Reba McEntire was already a country music superstar when she experienced one of the most devastating moments of her life. Her powerful vocals and storytelling had made her a household name in the 80s and 90s. On March 16, 1991, a chartered jet carrying 7 members of Reba's band and her tour manager crashed into a mountain near San Diego. All 10 people on board were killed.
Quite a bit of debris spread out over a pretty large area. The fuselage itself was fairly intact, and it was very apparent there were no survivors.
Reba had stayed behind due to illness, narrowly avoiding the tragedy. The loss deeply affected her and inspired the emotional album For My Broken Heart, dedicated to her fallen friends.
This is for my 8 buddies.
It became one of the best-selling country records of the decade and a powerful tribute to the lives lost. Number 7. Stevie Ray Vaughan. Stevie Ray Vaughan was a guitar virtuoso who helped revive blues in the 1980s. With explosive performances and gritty emotional playing, his work on albums like Texas Flood brought blues to new audiences.
It's been a major blow to the rock music world. A deadly helicopter crash early this morning in Wisconsin. 5 people have been killed, including rock guitarist Stevie Ray Vaughan.
On August 27, 1990, after performing with Eric Clapton at a festival in Wisconsin, Vaughan boarded a helicopter bound for Chicago. In dense fog, the helicopter crashed into a ski slope shortly after takeoff, killing all 5 on board. Vaughan was 35 and had recently overcome years of addiction. He was in the midst of a creative rebirth, and the crash left fans mourning not only what had been, but what could have been. Number 8. John Denver.
Country roads, take me home.
John Denver was the voice of optimism and nature-loving spirit in 1970s folk pop. With songs like Take Me Home Country Roads and Rocky Mountain High, he became a cultural icon.
I hope you folks recognize me, but I'm not sure you recognize the gentleman on my right. He's my father, Dutch Dutchendorf. He's been a pilot all his life. He taught me how to fly.
On October 12, 1997, Denver was flying a small experimental aircraft off the California coast.
Trying to determine the cause of an accident that killed John Denver.
The plane crashed into the Pacific after he lost control, in part due to poor design and inaccessible fuel controls. He died instantly. Though Denver was an experienced pilot, the crash raised serious questions about aviation safety. His death silenced one of music's most earnest and beloved voices.
'Cause I'm leaving on a jet plane.
Number 9. Aaliyah. Aaliyah was a rising R&B superstar whose sleek, futuristic sound helped define the late 90s and early 2000s. With hits like Try Again and Are You That Somebody? She was also launching a promising film career.
The plane crash that killed a rising star in the world of music and film. Reaction today after Aaliyah and 8 others were killed when their plane went down.
On August 25, 2001, after filming a music video in the Bahamas, Aaliyah boarded a small plane that crashed shortly after takeoff. Investigators found the aircraft was dangerously overloaded and the pilot was unlicensed. She was only 22. The tragedy stunned the music world, cutting short an artist whose influence on modern pop and R&B is still deeply felt today. Number 10. Travis Barker. Travis Barker is best known as the high-energy drummer for Blink-182, one of the most influential pop-punk bands of the 2000s.
4 people are dead and 2 critically injured after their Learjet bound for the Southland crashes during takeoff in South Carolina. The 2 survivors, former Blink-182 drummer Travis Barker and DJ AM.
In 2008, Barker barely survived a fiery plane crash that killed 4 others, including 2 close friends. The jet's tire blew during takeoff, causing it to overshoot the runway and explode. Barker suffered third-degree burns on more than half his body and underwent over 20 surgeries. The trauma forced him off planes for more than a decade and led to intense battles with PTSD and survivor's guilt. But it also marked a turning point. Barker got sober, focused on family, and slowly rebuilt his life.
I haven't had anything for 10 years.
Nothing.
Nothing.
0. No alcohol, no weed, no nothing. Damn.
Yeah.
10 years.
Which was a big, well, after my accident as well.
His eventual return to the stage, and even to the skies, became a story of incredible resilience in a list mostly filled with tragic endings.